5 years ago, I sat at my parents' dining room table, trying to explain my vision for the future of renewable energy. My laptop was open to a carefully prepared presentation, financial projections meticulously laid out, market analysis thoroughly researched. Solar power isn't just about panels anymore, I explained eagerly. It's about smart grids, AI-driven optimization, seamless integration with existing infrastructure. My company, Solar Tech Solutions, could revolutionize dash. Enough, Sophia. My mother cut me off with a wave of her manicured hand. This startup fantasy of yours needs to stop. You have a perfectly good job at Anderson Energy. Why throw it away on some pipe dream? I looked around the table at my family's dismissive faces. My father was barely paying attention, more interested in his phone than my presentation. My older brother David, the successful investment banker, smirked behind his wine glass. It's not a fantasy, I insisted. I've already developed prototype software that can increase solar grid efficiency by 30%. I just need initial funding to dash. To waste more time and money? David interrupted. Come on, sis. You really think you, an entry-level project manager, can revolutionize an entire industry? Leave energy to the big players. They know what they're doing. I closed my laptop slowly, a quiet determination settling over me. The big players are stuck in the past. They're so focused on protecting their old revenue streams that they can't see the future. The future. My father finally looked up from his phone. The future is natural gas and oil. That's where the real money is. Always has been, always will be. And what about climate change? I challenged. What about sustainability? David rolled his eyes. Oh God, not the environment again. This is business, Sophia. Real business. Not some green tech fantasy. Speaking of real business, my mother added, Peter McMahon's son is back in town. He's a junior partner at Wellington Capital now. I could arrange a dinner. I stood up, gathering my things. I'm not interested in being set up with some finance bro, Mom. I'm interested in building something meaningful. Meaningful doesn't pay the bills, my father said dismissively. Stick to your day job. At least Anderson Energy offers good benefits. As I drove home that night, their words echoed in my head. But instead of discouraging me, they fueled a fire that had been building for years. I'd spent my time at Anderson Energy learning everything I could about the industry's weaknesses, its blind spots, its desperate need for innovation. The next morning, I submitted my resignation. You're making a huge mistake, my supervisor warned. Nobody leaves Anderson Energy for a startup. But I wasn't nobody. I was someone who saw what they couldn't or wouldn't see. I had saved every penny from my corporate job, lived in a tiny studio apartment, drove a used car, and avoided expensive habits. Combined with my software patents and some careful investments, I had enough runway for 18 months. My best friend Maya, a brilliant software engineer I'd met at MIT, joined as my CTO. We rented a small office in a rundown building on the edge of the tech district. The rent was cheap, the infrastructure barely adequate, but it was ours. Your family still thinks you're crazy? Maya asked one night as we worked late, surrounded by empty coffee cups and whiteboards covered in code. They don't think about it at all, I replied, not looking up from my computer. They're too busy pretending I'm going through a phase. Those first months were brutal. We worked 18-hour days, survived on ramen and determination, and poured everything we had into developing our core technology. An AI-driven system that could optimize renewable energy distribution with unprecedented efficiency. My family's dismissal continued at every holiday gathering. Still playing with your little company? David would ask, flashing his Rolex as he reached for the wine. When are you going to get serious about your career? My mother would sigh, sharing knowing looks with her country club friends. I stopped attending family dinners. I had more important things to do. 1 year into our venture, we had our first breakthrough. Our AI system caught the attention of a small but innovative utility company in California. They agreed to a pilot program, implementing our software in a regional grid. The results exceeded even our expectations. Energy efficiency improved by 40%. Distribution costs dropped by half. The utility company immediately signed a full contract. So I kept our success quiet. Solar Tech Solutions operated through subsidiaries and holding companies, our ownership structure carefully obscured. To the energy industry, we were just another promising tech startup. To my family, I was still their foolish daughter chasing impossible dreams. Then came the Texas blackouts. As traditional power companies struggled with failing infrastructure, our AI system helped our clients maintain stability and service. The industry started paying attention. Did you see this company SolarTech Solutions? I overheard David telling our father during a rare family visit. Their stock jumped 300% after the blackouts. We should look into investing. I hid my smile behind my coffee cup. 3 years after that fateful dinner where they dismissed my fantasy, SolarTech Solutions had become one of the fastest-growing companies in renewable energy. We had contracts with utilities across the country, a growing international presence, and a reputation for being light years ahead of traditional energy companies. My mother still sent me job listings for reliable corporate positions. Then the energy market shifted dramatically. Oil prices soared, natural gas became politically complicated, and suddenly every major player was scrambling to establish renewable credentials, including Anderson Energy. I was reviewing quarterly reports in my corner office, a far cry from our first rundown space, when Maya burst in, her eyes wide with excitement. "You're not going to believe this," she said, dropping a file on my desk. "Anderson Energy just reached out. They want to discuss a potential partnership." I opened the file, scanning the proposal. They were desperate. Their stock was tanking, their traditional energy assets were becoming liabilities, and they needed a fast track into renewables. "They have no idea, do they?" Maya asked, grinning. "That they're begging for help from the same person they forced out?" "No," I replied, remembering my supervisor's warning about making a huge mistake. "But they're about to find out." Later that week my phone rang. It was David. "Sophia? We need to talk. It's about Anderson Energy. Their stock is in free fall. Dad's investment portfolio is heavily exposed and he hesitated. "And we heard rumors that SolarTech Solutions might be interested in acquiring some of their assets. I know it's a long shot, but do you have any contacts there? Anyone you could put in a good word with?" I leaned back in my chair, looking out over the city skyline from my office, my real office, not the entry-level cubicle they thought I still occupied. "Actually," I said slowly, "I might be able to help. Why don't you and Dad come by my office tomorrow? We can discuss it in person." "Your office? At Anderson?" "No," I smiled. "At SolarTech Solutions. Top floor of the Phoenix Tower. You can't miss it, our logo's on the building." The silence that followed was worth every moment of doubt, every dismissive comment, every condescending smile I'd endured. "Sophia," David finally managed, his voice weak. "Are you saying?" "I'm saying be here at 9 tomorrow morning. And David? Bring Dad's complete investment portfolio. We have a lot to discuss." I hung up and turned to the wall of awards behind my desk, including Energy Innovation of the Year and Top 40 Under 40 in Business Leadership. Awards they'd never bothered to ask about, achievements they'd never thought to celebrate. Tomorrow they would finally understand exactly what my fantasy had become. And I would decide whether their investment portfolio was worth saving. The next morning, I arrived early to appreciate the moment that was about to unfold. The Phoenix Tower's top floor offered a commanding view of the city, including Anderson Energy's aging headquarters in the distance. "How fitting. Your father and brother are in the lobby," Maya reported, barely containing her glee. "You should see them, they look completely lost. Security had to verify their appointment 3 times. I smiled, adjusting my position behind my desk. "Give them the tour first. I want them to understand exactly what they're walking into." Through the security feeds, I watched Maya lead them through our R&D department, past walls of patents and awards, through our state-of-the-art development center where engineers worked on next-generation renewable technology. David's swagger diminished with each step. My father's face grew increasingly pale. "As you can see," Maya explained professionally, SolarTech Solutions isn't just a software company. We're redefining the entire energy sector. Our AI systems are currently managing power distribution for 30% of the country's renewable grid. 30%? My father muttered. "That's impossible. The technical requirements alone are well within our capabilities," Maya finished. "Would you like to see our real-time monitoring center?" By the time they reached my office, both men looked shell-shocked. They stood in the doorway, taking in the expansive space with its floor-to-ceiling windows and commanding view. "Please sit down," I said, not looking up from the tablet where I was reviewing their investment portfolio. "We have a lot to discuss." They sat. David tugged at his tie, his usual confidence nowhere to be seen. My father couldn't stop staring at the wall of awards behind me, particularly the Energy Innovation of the Year trophy with my name prominently displayed. "Interesting reading," I said finally, setting down the tablet. "Dad, you've got nearly 60% of your portfolio in traditional energy stocks. Heavy exposure to Anderson Energy in particular. Not very diversified." "Sophia," he started, then stopped, seemingly at a loss for words. "You're the CEO," David blurted out, "of Solar Tech Solutions. All this time." "All this time," I agreed, "while you were mocking my startup fantasy, I was building the future you couldn't see coming." "Why didn't you tell us?" my father demanded. "Would you have believed me? Or would you have tried to take control, to do things the traditional way?" I stood up, walking to the window. "Besides, you never asked. Too busy trying to set me up with investment bankers and sending me job listings for middle management positions." David leaned forward. "Look, we were wrong, okay? We didn't understand what you were building. But now we need your help." "Do you?" I turned back to face them. "Or do you just need Solar Tech's help?" "What's the difference?" my father asked. "The difference is that one acknowledges you failed me as a family, while the other just wants a business bailout." They exchanged uncomfortable glances. "Anderson Energy's stock dropped another 15% this morning," I continued, pulling up the market data on my office's wall screen. "Your investment portfolio has lost nearly 40% of its value in the last 6 months. And that's just the beginning." "What do you mean?" My father's voice shook slightly. I pressed a button, changing the display to our market analysis. "Renewable energy will dominate the market within 5 years. Traditional energy companies that don't adapt will fail. Anderson Energy is already obsolete, they just don't know it yet." "But their partnership proposal," David interjected. "Surely that shows they're trying to adapt?" I laughed softly. "That proposal? It's worthless. They're a decade behind in technology, their infrastructure is crumbling, and their leadership doesn't understand the first thing about modern energy distribution." "Then why did you agree to meet with us?" my father demanded. "Because despite everything, you're my family. And unlike you, I don't believe in excluding family from opportunities, as long as they're willing to learn, to adapt, to admit their mistakes." "What are you saying?" I sat back down, folding my hands on my desk. "I'm saying I'll help, but on my terms. First, you'll both sign NDAs. Then I'll show you exactly how the energy market is going to change in the next 5 years. If you're willing to listen, really listen, I'll help you restructure your investments before it's too late." "And Anderson Energy?" David asked. "Is not worth saving," I said firmly. "But I might consider acquiring some of their renewable patents and key personnel. At a significant discount, of course." My father stood up abruptly, pacing the office. "All these years," he muttered. "All these years we thought you were throwing your career away, and instead I was building something revolutionary," I finished. "Something that could have benefited our whole family if you bothered to understand it. Can we?" He hesitated. "Can we tell your mother about this?" I smiled. "Oh, Mom already knows. She called this morning after seeing Solar Tech's CEO profile in Business Weekly. She's probably still crying into her coffee at the country club." David actually laughed at that. "God, all those investment bankers she tried to set you up with are probably trying to get meetings with me now," I agreed. "Funny how that works." Just then Meyer appeared in the doorway. "Sorry to interrupt, but the Anderson Energy executive team is here for their meeting." I checked my watch. Right on time. "Dad, David, would you like to stay? See how real business is done in the modern era." They exchanged glances, then nodded. I gestured for them to move to the conference area of my office while Maya showed in the Anderson team, including my former supervisor, whose face went white when he saw me. "Welcome to Solar Tech Solutions," I said pleasantly. "I believe you have a proposal for us?" The next hour was a masterclass in modern business negotiation. I systematically dismantled their partnership proposal, exposed their technical weaknesses, and laid out exactly how far behind the curve they really were. "So you see," I concluded, Your company isn't in a position to be proposing partnerships. You're in a position to be asking for rescue. This is outrageous, their CEO sputtered. Anderson Energy has been a market leader for 50 years. And Blockbuster was a market leader until Netflix came along, I replied calmly. The energy market is transforming. You can either adapt or die. Your choice. After they left, thoroughly humbled, my father approached me slowly. I've never seen anything like that, he admitted. You didn't just understand their business. You knew it better than they did. That's because I spent years studying exactly what they were doing wrong, I explained. While they were busy protecting their old business model, I was building the new one. We really messed up, didn't we? David said quietly. Not believing in you. Yes, you did. I turned to face them both. But here's the thing about the future. It doesn't care about the past. It only cares about who's ready for what comes next. Are you ready to learn? They nodded, humbled but eager. Over the next few months, I taught my family everything they'd refused to learn before, about renewable energy, about technological innovation, about the real future of business. My father restructured his portfolio under my guidance. David eventually joined SolarTech's business development team, starting at a junior level and working his way up properly. My mother took longer to come around, but the first time she saw me featured on CNBC as the future of energy, her resistance crumbled. I was so wrong, she admitted over dinner one night. All those years pushing you towards safe choices, traditional paths. The safest choice, I told her, is betting on yourself. Everything else is just hiding from change. 1 year later, Anderson Energy filed for bankruptcy. SolarTech Solutions acquired their valuable assets at pennies on the dollar. The industry called it a masterclass in modern business strategy. I called it vindication. The fantasy they'd dismissed had become the reality they couldn't ignore. And the daughter they'd underestimated had become the visionary they now turned to for guidance. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving people wrong. It's proving yourself so completely right that they have no choice but to acknowledge it. My startup fantasy had become their lifeline to the future. And I had become exactly who I always knew I could be.